If you are experiencing foundation issues, get a free estimate from Ox Foundations.
Dr. John Segars, Superintendent of Sylacauga City Board of Education, joins us for a few this morning. Dr. Segars, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning.
Man, you know, we started this thing back in March, I guess, and here we are headed toward the start of school in August. Teachers start early August, right?
They do. They'll come back on the 6th of August, and students will return on the 20th of August. So we're ready to go. Hope it all works out.
All right, now, you said something, and I was kind of going to lead into that. You said, I'll hope it all works out. You know, this is still kind of fluid a little bit.
It is, and we need to keep reminding ourselves that we're under a public health order. That order has been extended several times and changed several times. On the 31st of July, that order is due to expire. So the governor and Dr. Harris with our public health department have some decisions to make as far as what do we restart and what does it look like when we restart. So 31st of July is a big day, and they'll probably speak a few days before that and give us some more guidance, but you know, we don't know what that's going to look like.
And COVID numbers are up. Let's look at it.
Yeah. They are up, and that worries us.
Yeah. It's been a lot of work, a lot of crossing T's and dotting I's, and a lot of steps taken, and to get to August. Again, explain a little bit what you anticipate.
Well, we see a mix of things that are going to happen. Some students are going to come back to the classroom. Some are not. Some teachers are not going to come back to the classroom. We're dealing with people in our families who are sick. We're dealing with people whose health is fragile, and we've got to be cognizant of that and make sure that we can provide education, whether you're in the classroom or whether you're at home, that we can do both those things at the same time, and then also prepare for if there is a big problem that we don't see right now, but what if we have to shut down schools again? We do have to keep that in mind as well. So we are more prepared than we were on the 13th of March when it happened before.
Do we get kind of a feel of percentage-wise of amount of students going to be in the classrooms or at home? It's
hard to say right now. We did send out a survey and asked people, you know, maybe what would you like to do, not having full information. And, you know, somewhere between 40 and 50% of our families have concerns about coming back to school. So they want something that maybe they can work on at home. It may be a blended model where they do some things at home, but they still talk to a teacher. Or it may be a full virtual model where they are placed on a virtual curriculum and they go, and not necessarily at their own pace, but it is self-guided, and you don't necessarily have to be sitting in a class at 8 in the morning. You may be doing it at 8 at night.
You seem to be kind of steady with your thoughts and things like that. You take Pepto-Bismol?
No, I don't. But I tell you, you know, I told our board that I am okay in crisis. I understand what needs to be done. I understand the leadership part. And the bottom line is we have some great teachers, some great administrators, people that know how to do this business, and they can get it done. We're doing summer school right now at Pinecrest, and we start summer school next week at Nichols-Lawson, and those teachers have picked right back up where they left off.
It's amazing.
It is amazing what they can do. So I'm not worried.
Yeah.
I feel good about what we're entering. What I am worried about is the unknown. We don't know what the 1st of August is going to look like.
We had several teachers to retire in recent days as well, and they've been honored.
We have. We had a big retirement class this year, and some of those it was just time. They were they were past their 25 years and they were ready to go home. They already had retirement plans, but there were a few came to me and said, "I'm just worried." You know, they have elderly parents they care for. They may, you know, they may have some health concerns themselves, and they just had to make those decisions. And I don't blame them one bit. I mean, they have got to worry about their families, and some of them we've already called back for a little help, though.
So what does that mean to us as a school system with how do you replace these people?
Well, you know, people with that much experience are always hard to replace. So we we have to look hard. We have some young employees coming up and have learned. But I can tell you that, and I don't ever want to say that technology can replace a human being in the classroom. But a lot of the technology we have makes it easier for people to learn and to get good at their trade. And so we've got some real stars out there, and I'm real proud of them.
What are some changes that parents and students can expect next month?
If you have to do work from home, if you have to do schoolwork from home, it requires a lot of discipline. It sounds easy, but we found out over 47 days in the spring, it's not easy at all. I can remember doing science with my daughter on a Saturday morning, and I was very frustrated. About Saturday at noon, I sent a text to the teacher. I'm like, I need a little help here. But it's hard if you don't do that every day, and you're not trained to do that. So you have to get into a routine at home, and I think we've all learned that just because things are shut down, you can't throw away your schedules. You've got to get on that schedule or all sorts of things go wrong. So that's important for our students and our families to understand. If you're at home or in your classroom, we're going to follow a schedule and we're going to get back into a routine the best we can.
When the shutdown took place several months ago, you had parents in the home. But now then, we've opened up the state some and quite a bit, and parents back in the job place, and how do they balance that with their children?
It's a great question, and I encourage parents to think through that. If if you have a youngster at home who you want to put on some sort of virtual or homeschool curriculum, somebody's got to be there to supervise that child. I think back to my childhood. If my folks would have left me at home and told me to do my schoolwork, it wouldn't have happened. My brother and I would have done everything but schoolwork. Sure. So you've got to have that set up in your household. We will do everything we can to give you all the tools you need to make that happen. But parenting at home is the first step in education, and then we take over after that.
What are some of the physical changes that might be expected coming into the classroom?
Well, the biggest thing is you're going to be 6 feet apart. The 6 foot distancing rule is specified by our state health department. If you're inside that 6 feet, of course, you have to have a mask on and you have to take more precautions.
So the students will wear masks in the classroom?
They could. If you're in a position where you're within 6 feet of somebody and the rule is for 15 minutes or longer, we're going to go ahead and establish a rule. If you're inside that 6 foot zone, you put on your mask. We do that in athletics right now. We're doing it over at Pinecrest at summer school. Now, when children are, young children in elementary school, it's hard to keep a mask on them. But our teachers are in masks. The students in our athletic programs are wearing masks. My daughter is practicing cheerleading right now, and she's taking her mask in there, and they put it on at the appropriate times when they're within that 6 foot rule. So that's your biggest change. The other thing you're going to see is access to our buildings. Very controlled now. Certain doors are for entry, certain doors are for exit. We won't take visitors unless you have to come take care of your child, of course. But those kind of things are going to be very much restricted, just so we can keep out what needs to stay out and make sure that when both employees and students come in our building, that their temperatures are checked. We make sure we don't have a problem. And then we have a quarantine area. So if somebody does get sick during the day, we notice a problem, they can go to an area where it's sectioned off from the rest of the school until we can get them home or to some medical care. So those are the logistics behind this, and the movement behind it is a whole new game for us.
I saw a couple of days ago where plexiglass is at a premium.
It is. It is. A lot of people have talked about plexiglass, and you go to Home Depot or any store right now, you see cashiers behind plexiglass. But yeah, try to buy that stuff. It's just not available in any quantity. So we'll work on those things too. We have ordered plenty of cleaning supplies. We have cleaning supplies on hand. We have electrostatic disinfecting machines that we can quickly go in and sanitize a classroom or even a building. And we have some professionals on retainer here, so when we do have a problem and need help, they come in quickly and get the buildings clean for us.
Dr. John Segars, Superintendent of the Sylacauga City Board of Education, our guest this morning, and the uptick with the coronavirus is affecting younger people now, and I know that's got to be a concern to you.
It is. I wish I knew more about it. It seems like the truth changes every day. Where we at once in this process thought that, well, if you're elderly, you stand a great chance of getting it. But we're seeing young people get it. We're seeing them in schools get it, and people who are very healthy get it. I don't know the answer, but the reality is everybody is at risk. So we have to treat it like it is, and make sure that everybody is given the same level of protective measures in our schools.
I'm sure you've been in conversations almost on a daily basis with Montgomery and people in Montgomery. But what are you hearing from other administrators in other school systems in our state?
That we're all asking the same questions. A lot of superintendents have come out with these very elaborate plans. We have not put our plan on the street yet. I can tell you that ours is very simple. It's going to be easy to read. It's going to be easy to understand, and we're going to have a question and answer, and we already have it on our Facebook page where you can come in and ask a question. We'll try to answer that. We're reading all these plans. Some of them are excellent, things that we didn't think of. So we're studying what other superintendents and other school systems are doing. But I can tell you, we met a couple of weeks ago with the state superintendent, all of us, and we all had the same questions: is what's it going to look like, and where is the funding coming from, things like that when you tell us to do things. So we applaud the governor, we applaud the state school superintendent for the work they've done. I can't say enough about Dr. Harris with the public health department and the guidance that those folks give us. So it's still the unknown. We still have tons of questions, and we continue to study, but we're going to make it happen one way or another.
But the bottom line, Dr. Segars, is still the education of these students.
That is, and that's why I say it is most important that, however it looks, that we do whatever we can to get students the resources they need, and the biggest resource you can ever give them is a certified and highly qualified teacher. All the technology in the world does not solve the problem. It's get that teacher in front of that child, whether it's face-to-face or whether they're on camera talking to each other, but there's how you learn. And the second part of that is parents getting themselves in a position, their families in a position to support that child and that teacher. So if we can do those things, we'll be successful.
Yeah. I'm sure younger students in elementary school, they may not grasp this as much as the older students. Do you think the older students in high school are kind of grasping this a little bit better?
I think they are. I think they fully understand what's going on, but they are teenagers.
Yeah.
And teenagers like to congregate, and they like to get real close together, and we have to continue to caution them. Every day they get better. Every day we get better, so that they're understanding that there is a real danger out there, and a lot of them know people who have had COVID-19 now, and that's real. When you start to feel it in your own house or among your own friends, it's serious.
So again, let's go over, Dr. Segars. A lot of people watching this morning will have children and grandchildren in the Sylacauga City School System. How are we able to kind of keep a handle on the students as far as the testing is concerned and making sure that we're not missing something?
Yeah, that's a good question. We will start the year with an evaluation of each student, figure out where they are. The older students, we kind of know where they are. The younger ones will go through an evaluation process, since in the spring we missed the state evaluation process, so we don't know. From there, of course, we are allowing families to look at some options, whether your student comes to class in the school facility, whether you do a blended type option where you are in a class but you're dialing in remotely, that you're on camera talking to a teacher and maybe there's some other students in class, or exercising a choice to do a full virtual program where you don't really have a teacher. Very few people are successful at that. Adults are not successful at that. So that's not the option that we want you to pick. But if it's right for your family and you can do it, whatever works for you. But we want to make sure that we get the right supports in place and that you have the right supports at home to start that. Testing, some of that will have to be done in the school. Their state test, those type of evaluations, we just can't send those home and let you take them. It's not allowed. So there will be times where we have to bring students into our schools, maybe at odd hours when there are very few people there, and take the exam, and then they can go back to the remote learning that they're scheduled to do.
Before we go this morning, spend a couple more minutes with Dr. John Segars, and a busy time for he and other superintendents and teachers. They get set to go back to school in just a few weeks. Athletics. We have seen numerous stops and starts with summer volunteer workout programs. And, you know, football season, we've seen colleges, we've seen conferences already shut down their athletic program for the fall. Are you concerned about a trickle-down effect from this?
Certainly. Fortunately, we have not had to close down any athletic program, and we have all teams practicing right now. They're doing their summer conditioning as they normally would. We have all our gyms full. All of our ball fields are full. Little League is playing on the baseball field, of course, and you know, I'm just so happy to see it.
Yeah.
I know a problem is coming. It's happening in every school system, and I've been on the phone. We have a nurse liaison with the Department of Public Health who just handles schools, and I was on the phone with her last Friday for a long time. She's very good, and she is able to isolate the problem when you have one. She does, or her team does, the contact tracing and calls all the other people involved. You don't have to do any of that stuff. They handle it for you, and they give you guidance on what to do, how to do it, and then when you can start back up. So they're very well versed at this. Unfortunately, they are. And when she talked to me the other day, I said, you know, I think I maybe have a problem here. And she goes, "You're not alone. Everybody's going to have a problem somewhere. Just call me." So I'm encouraged by that the help is there.
A lot of uneasiness, a lot of apprehension. As we close this morning, a moment to speak to parents and grandparents and guardians of students who are going to be making decisions very quickly about which direction to go with this academic year.
I'll tell you that our plan will hit the streets next week. We're taking a look at it this weekend. We're going to talk to our teachers and our staff members on Monday about it and get their concerns, and we'll put it out there on the street. We want you to feel good about the fact that we are going to provide those things that your child and your children need for their education. Whether you do it at home or whether you do it in the classroom, we're going to give you the very best. So expect that next week. We look forward to your questions. We'll do registration at the end of the month of July. We won't move too fast. We have plenty of time here to get it all right. And then, of course, after registration, we'll start talking about the details about your child, what classes they're in, and how we're going to accomplish the standards in each one of those classes. So we feel great about it. We want the community to feel great about it too.
All right. I think I'll take a Pepto-Bismol after this. Dr. Segars, always a pleasure, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Dr. John Segars, Superintendent of Sylacauga City Board of Education, our guest this morning. More Daybreak after this.